welcome to tonight's show. This is Wednesday, and the date is September 12th, and it is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with me tonight is
Scott Bates.
And did I say what the show was? No. This is Medicine Women Reveal. So Jen is not with us right now. She's off doing her ministry stuff. Yeah. And so, anyways, we're hoping that the internet stays, and if not, I know that I can keep talking to you through my phone, and that's always a good sign. I had a show on Sepia the other night, and I have no idea if it even went through because the pre-recording that I had, there was something wrong with it, so I had to leave it up to them to put the encore on, and I don't know if they did. So, never found out. Don't bother me any. What I want to talk to you about, if you have any, first of all, if you have any questions, or if you have any, if you wanted reading, you can type it into the chat room, or you can call in. And with the call-in number, what is this call-in number, Scott?
347-838-8904. And I'll repeat that one more time. The call-in number is 347-838-8904.
And if you want to talk to me, you press 1 twice so that I can see that you're raising your hand. So it's always good to see you, Karen. And do you know who my very first caller was for my very first show?
I happened to listen to the show through the archives here a couple days ago, Brenda's show from August 1st, and it was kind of unusual. The very first person to call in when Brenda was trying to get everything to work right was somebody named Karen.
So that was good to know.
I recognized your voice.
You know, so that's kind of cool to know these little facts. And, you know, you have earned your right to have a reading, so if you ever want to what do you want to call it, have a reading, we can do it live on air, or we can do it privately. It's up to you. You just let me know. So we have a lot of good things. The main thing is helping people understand who they are. I mean, they already know themselves. Now here's an interesting thing. You know, the time that you're in the womb, up until the age of 7, you have all these first experiences. And it's the way you react to those first experiences. It's very, very important to understand that inside your brain, you're born with fear. Your soul's accumulation of any type of fear is in the caudate nucleus. Now, that caudate nucleus everybody has in their brain. If you have a lot of fear, you will have less joy. But if you have a lot of joy, you'll have less fear. And it's all has to do with the caudate nucleus. When you decide your parents and you come into this world and you decide what gender you are, what race you're going to be, where you're going to be living on the planet, you will pick up all the frequencies of that consciousness of the fear, and it will be displayed in there. So those first responses, if your soul shows you something that should be frightful and you don't see it as frightful, great, you pass the test. But if you see it as frightful, then you will have that barrier. It will show you, and one of the things that the soul wants you to know is that you have to, what do they call it, learn lessons, which really means to be done with it. To allow yourself to get another chance to resolve it, reclaim your power, and move forward. Now in the caudate nucleus, it governs fear, like I said, and we're born with it, like I said. But the main thing is that it covers the midbrain. The midbrain is where your subconscious mind is, and it's minus the personality. The subconscious mind is where all healing, all changes take place. And the subconscious mind records everything. It runs the body. But at the same time, it is also a place where you translate and integrate information to make known the unknown so that growth can occur. As you experience life, where your inner world emanates energy out, and you experience life so that your inner world creates your outer world, and your outer world will then go through all of these filters and files and help you create the physiology you need, which will create you to have a behavior. And one of the things I thought was interesting about knowing that knowledge is when you have DID, a dissociative identity disorder. And what happens is, I was watching a show one time, and then I read several things on it, which I thought was great and important. When the person was sitting there, and which consciousness is in there that's running the body, it could be a male or female, the consciousness determine who and what you are and what type of personality. So it takes the consciousness to activate the brain and then give it the code, and then the brain gives you the code to the body and then projects it out so you can have your reality. So these people are showing us the aspects within themselves, but literally the consciousness will basically completely switch, like having 2 or 3 more people inside of you. And one of the things is that, how do I put it? If the one personality has diabetes and the consciousness switch, then the person that's being present in the body will make the symptoms of diabetes disappear, and the organ will show, health, or show where sickness, disease will show up somewhere else. So I think that's quite fascinating how all of that, you need the consciousness to activate the brain then gives the code. I just find that fascinating. So I see that we have a reading, or somebody wants a reading, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so I'm just going to, not a specific question, I'm assuming it's just a general reading. And if you want to participate with us, that's great.
Okay.
One of the things is if she's typing in the little chat window and she sees a bunch of windows, what you're going to have to understand is that in your little, what do you call it, in the letter T will change the font and the size of the font.
So that, how we see it, you mean?
Well, the way she's typing, or I can't see it from here, but
it's a
okay. But the thing is that it's important to understand, if you go and hit the T, you can change that. Very good. See, now she can see it. Okay. So sometimes, and even that's a sign if you see it in symbols, a lot of it has to do with the fact that that's the way our brain sees it. It fires that way. So I'm going to assume that you want just a general reading. If you have a specific question, please understand the reading may not make any sense because you're looking for a specific answer, because we are all frequency specific. So we're going to tune in. Apparently yawn to get the energy moving. And what's interesting is I feel she's so far away. I don't understand it. It's like she's over on this cloud feeling separated, and she's reaching out and she can't connect with people. And I'm not sure why. And that might be the first thing, which is I can't connect. Because they're literally showing me that you're reaching out your hand and you're leaning off the edge of your cloud to reach out, and I'm wondering, okay, is this to be rescued? No. Is it you want to have relationships? So my question, I guess, would be, was relationships hard for you? Because what I'm actually seeing is one of the programs that says that there's a different way of looking at right and wrong. And if you can't attract the like-minded people to you, you will attract the people that you have to, let's see, really look at what you have to heal. Like, I somehow attracted this woman that had to tell me that, because I said I support gays. I don't like to even say that word, but I support people that have their choices, that are making their choice. It's their journey they get to create. And I said I support that. And so then this lady comes on, some type of a Huna priestess, and I love Huna, the Ho'oponopono, or probably said it completely wrong. But the point is that she's telling me that she doesn't like it, it's a disease, and that how dare I basically do this? I thought, that's interesting. And I wasn't offended, but at the same time, I still feel at the same time it was deciding whether or not how do I respond to it? Before, I would have thought, why do people writing? It's my wall. Well, I didn't take offense. I had just healed how I hate how people will just write on my wall and instead of telling me that they believe this, they're just saying, no, you're wrong, this is the way it is. And so it's hard to reach out for people like that. And Scotty, I see that you drew a card or something.
Yeah, I drew one about perspective.
Make it nice and loud.
Okay, the Milky Way. The Milky Way is said to be one of billions of galaxies in an observable universe. Let me mention these are the Earth Magic Oracle cards by Stephen Farmer. Okay, let me get back here. It contains about 200 to 400 billion stars, the one most familiar to us being the Sun. The oldest star in the galaxy is 13.2 billion years old, said to be nearly as old as the universe itself. And the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. Distances are measured in light years, and the Milky Way galaxy is believed to be 100,000 light years in diameter. The enormity and vastness stagger the mind and challenge the imagination. Yet it also gives us some notion of where we are, where we fit in all of this. Considered from this perspective, our usual frame of reference is to put to the task. We're faced with a choice of abandoning our myopic vision in favor of seeing and accepting the bigger picture, or we can just allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by a sense of smallness and helplessness. Yet know that we are composed of material from the very stars that inhabit the Milky Way. Thus, we're connected to the Earth and the entire universe at all times, in life and in death.
So perspective is very important because it is how you want to be. If you cannot feel like you can be an individual, then you're going to end up withholding, parts of who you truly are. And when that occurs, then it can cause you to bring people to you that are going to start to sculpt you the way they want to be sculpted. And the reason why is because we have a planet that has the archetypes of pimp and hoe. And it's supposed to be, the pimp's supposed to put their dream into your head and make you think that you thought it. And by fear, by instilling it, by dominancy, and we get lost in the feeling nature, not just the self-talk, but an actual feeling nature as we start to feel our environment. Literally, you can feel the frequencies. I walked into one of the rooms I have, and there just seems to be overloaded with stuff. There's garbage bags, books, boxes. It just is out of order. The frequency, I started to feel it, and I started to get agitated, and I knew immediately it was because how this room was rearranged. And so I left the room, and I thought, oh, I feel better. So there's a part of us that has to really look at and decide, can we handle this? Last night, me and my husband watched Fringe. I just want to put a D on the end of it. And it's a great show. And what happened was Olivia was in her mind, because there was two consciousness. Bell, one of the other characters entered his consciousness in her. And what happened was that Olivia was pretty much on hiatus, but she didn't feel safe in her own brain. And so
she retreated to a safe spot, which
correct.
was her childhood home.
And what happened is, as the show goes on, Peter and all them were looking for her in her brain. They couldn't find her, except for the fact is they realized that she's not even safe in her own head. And so as they were trying to retrieve her, all these people that were going to hurt her, were hurting them, or trying to hurt them. And when she was a little girl, he found her, and she was a little girl. And next thing you know, they're running, and there's nowhere to run now. That she finally stops, turns around, and puts her hand out and says, "No more, no more." And it's when you take and change your perspective to realize that, no more. You don't have to put up with it anymore. And this is a good thing, because it's also how the old way that we used to get over fear was through conquer, which was to step in the face of fear, conquer it, create a pathway, knowing that we don't have to take this on. But if you're a child that has been repetitively abused, then there's a part of you that sometimes feels that there's no reward even when you stand up to this particular thing. So the whole point of your reading is simply your soul wants you to be more authentic to yourself, but you have a program that makes you stay in your comfort zone because there's a part of you that meet up against people that have to do with right and wrong, and then there's probably a set of right and wrong that you feel you have to follow in order to have friendships. So you're at the place of discovering who you are. Not only do I like to give readings, but the soul also likes to have closure. So the main thing it wants you to understand is that your mode, the way you go into when life starts to present itself, there's a part of you that wants to go into the run mode. Now, consciously, you can walk around and not feel that. You don't walk out of the room, but it's the program that's inside that you have to pay attention to, because that is going to determine your health, your wealth, your life, your lifestyle. It'll affect everything. So even if you can show outwardly that you're strong, you have to make sure you understand that the inner you needs love, tender, and care. And your soul is saying that about age 3 is when you really were picking up what they call the RTJP. This is when it usually starts to kick in, was about the age of 3. And what its job is to help you think what other people think. And then you had to use that in order to feel safe. And at some point, I think you started to notice that there was a pattern about behavior. Kind of similar to what I had grown up with, and that was to take and look and see my mother yelling at my sister, wrote my little manual for life and says, don't do that, that's wrong. And then I seen my mother, happy with my sister, do that, that is right. It wasn't a very good method, but that's when my 3-year-old took and looked at the perspective, and in order to be safe and survive, that's what I kept writing down. And I feel like you have some similar program, Love Lat, too. So the question of right and wrong comes into play. Me and my husband were having a deep discussion, and I says there's a program in you that needs to be addressed, and it was called right and wrong. And your question to me, Scott, was, well, why do you have to heal right and wrong?
Yes, I think that's what the question
Did you remember the conversation?
Not really.
All right, well, I'll try to recoup it. But he's like, well, it's the right thing to do this. And that's wrong to do. Why would you want to heal that out? Does that mean I'm going to just be doing more wrong and I won't know the difference? And I said, no, no, no. By taking the limitation that everything has to be black and white, right and wrong, left and right, you don't get to explore. All you're doing is doing the limitation. When you heal that has to be right and wrong, what will happen is that you will become more aligned with your spirit, and the more aligned with your subconscious mind, and you'll stop being aligned to that caudate nucleus, which is the fear brain. You want to resolve those issues so the caudate nucleus becomes cleaned up, because when you take and you heal the caudate of fear, the only thing that can reside in there is joy. Joy is a state of being. So he finally says, okay, I have to do right and wrong. I have to do it this way. And so he did a lot of tapping. So one thing that I would tell you to want to heal would be to look at the meridian tapping, which is on mwrevealed.com. Under Healing Tools, go under the meridian tapping, and you need to form your sentences. So you'll fit it into the phrase, even though, and then you'll put your sentence, I didn't deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now there's some written instructions there, but we got to find out your phrase. And it's so word specific because it's the way you speak. Your voice is very important, especially to you. And you need to be able to say, oh, I wouldn't say it that way. I would say it this way. And I'll say, great, now that you know this, then let's see, when you say that statement, does it feel like you have energy loss? Do you feel like it's negative? Anything less than joy needs to be recalibrated, balanced, brought back to center. You don't have to stare at the limitations or become the limitations. So you learn, what you're doing is you're learning to help yourself to become a happier, healthier soul. So, your phrase, because they were pointing at how it has to do with right and wrong, they also want you to notice how self-conscious that you become. Self-conscious in this case is not about right and wrong, but it's about looking at your flaws, thinking everybody else sees them. And what I learned a long time ago is that you're your own worst critic, because you're the one that really sees it. If people are really trained, then yeah, I suppose they could see it. But at the same time, it is your uniqueness. This is the way you're supposed to look. This is the way you're supposed to sound. This is the way you're supposed to be. Because your soul chose you to choose this. And to love that part of yourself. So there's a part of you that becomes very self-conscious, and you feel like everybody's looking at you, and that is one of the big things they want you to heal. Okay? Alrighty. So now, just looking in the chat room. What I was thinking is, again, it's connecting the dots, because there's a lot of information that Spirit likes to usually speak, pour forth. And like I said, when it comes to consciousness, when the consciousness is there is group consciousness. This is where we all agreed upon, this is what a table looks like, and then there's a variations of tables. This is what a chair looks like, and there's a variation of chairs. And the reason that we have variety is because you are allowing yourself to be that spirit that allows yourself to become unique. It allows you to be that part of yourself that's creative, because your spirit's constantly creative. Now I'm trying to figure out what's going on, because I feel like this disturbance of energy is here, and it is engulfed with fear, and I'm not sure what that is, so I'm just going to keep my eye on it for a minute. But consciousness is the different levels of your brainwaves. The consciousness is how you use your sensory system and define what it is you're interplaying with. When you first wake up in the morning, sometimes the light turns on. This is your true identity. It's pure white light. Turns on. For just a brief second, you may not remember who you are. And you may look over and go, who's that in bed with me? Wait a minute, where am I at? Am I in the bed? What is this? And that brief second is where you are true love and very much balanced in all ways. But then the gray matter kicks in, that part of your brain, it kicks in, and what's it do? It becomes the observer. It uses your sensory system and its programs, and the program from the time that inside the womb up into the age you are now, all of those neurons in your head start to fire away, saying, oh, this is the picture, this is what it looks like, this is how it is, this is what you believe in, this is who you're going to bump into today. And so all of that starts to happen in the gray matter. And as the gray matter starts to fire, then you become you. And it's so good to, when you wake up, to become you and not to wake up into, hey, I'm somebody else. That would be bizarre. So, when you do this, it usually sounds like this in the morning, especially if you don't pay attention to that you are a soul. Oh my gosh, the alarm's going to go off in 1 minute, and I don't really want to go to work, and oh my gosh, I have to do this. Oh, there goes the crying kid. Ah! And it's usually showing you all the things where you're losing power, because your soul decided, you know what, I don't like this little piece, I reject that little piece, and these little pieces that make up the bigger story. And it helps you unfold the bigger picture to smaller details, and then look at the little details to make a bigger picture. So it's your left brain and right brain working together. So is everything okay over there, Scott?
I think so. She can't see my answers in the chat window.
Oh.
For some reason, all I said was, I said you're welcome and so forth. So.
Huh, I wonder why that's happening.
It must be something.
So there's about the communication of what you're seeing. I would just tell you to close the window and reopen it, or reboot your computer, and sometimes, because you may have to.
Or re-log in the Blogtalk,
And sometimes you have to
close
get
your browser,
the new,
go to it again.
sometimes you have to get a new download,
Oh, okay.
you know, so you never know.
See you answered there, okay.
But yeah,
Very
so
good.
if you can't talk there, that's fine.
Yeah, sometimes I gotta hit the F5 to refresh my window just to make sure everything shows up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
no big deal. Okay, so everything's good then?
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
so.
Was there any other questions she had? She's all right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
So,
again, what happens is by the age of 20, you pretty much now stopped creating new pathways to become who you want to become, because by the age 16 and on, those emotions, those hormones pump through you to start sculpting who you are, what you're going to become, what you've decided. And so after the age of 20, you usually become just your emotional self. You don't really become any more than that. You will grow and mature by having to chronologically be around every day. You will create your career, where you're going to live, who you're going to love. And a lot of times your brain will go back to age 16 through 20 and look for those emotional things that made you happy. And so then you're then trying to recreate in relationships over and over again those moments of happiness you had as that between 16 and 20. So I think about that. Between 16 and 20 for me, I don't remember. Literally, those were the years after my boyfriend died, and
my friend, yes.
I literally, I would have to say, okay, 18, I graduated, I was in college, 19, 20, I think that's when all of a sudden, I can't remember, I think I got married when I was 21 or divorced when I was 21. I married in 88.
Which should have been 21. You got divorced when you were 23 or 24.
Yeah, so 16 and through 20, what kind of love life did I have? I had none. Did I have a relationship? Not really. I knew that I had to heal much because of what all the tragedies that I had. Strategies? No. Tragedies. I had it right.
I was just
correcting me. Anyway, just kidding. The tragedies that occurred caused me to look outside myself and hoping that other people can make me happy. They are there to help you be happy with you, but it's not their job to make you happy, because that's putting a lot of responsibility on them. Because the moment you're unhappy, you can then now take it out on them, and they don't even know what they did. So I had to find and heal my pain in my caudate nucleus so I can become happy, and that's most of my journey has been repairing my caudate, just so that I can have the relationship I want and desire and need. And that now me and my husband have created it, and he's also using the healing tools, which then help him to grow in the relationship, not only with me, but with himself. So he's still deciding, who am I? What do I like? Now, he was fortunate enough to not really be distracted by women. He got to discover.
I don't know if you want to call it fortunate.
Well, it is to some degree.
When I was younger, I'd love to have been distracted.
Yes, you would have loved to have been distracted. But he got to discover things about himself that he truly loves. And he got to bring that into his life. And then, finally, because it was funny, he said we kind of knew each other. Let's see, when would it be?
Yes, because her boyfriend that died in '84 was my friend Dan.
But when did we meet then? When did we meet?
I knew you when you dated, well, Danny and you were going out when we were in high school and so forth. So.
Because
you were in high school. I was already out.
What I found out is he liked me for 10 years, and then he took a year off and decided, I don't want to like anybody. I don't want no women, no nothing. And then I called him out of the blue. Oh, and I have to say something strange.
What's that?
I cannot remember what county or what state it is, but it is in the United States that it's illegal for a woman to ask a man out on
Oh, where was that?
It's in the files.
Yeah, we were reading weird laws in different states. Some place it is, and was it?
I can't remember the name of it, where it was at. But it was funny, and I'm thinking, I would have totally been arrested because I called him up.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's one of those things, once they realize it's on the books, they'll repeal it and we'll get it off. I mean,
who knows? Oh, she said something.
Yeah, well, Octarine, I remember about Georgia. Let's see, what was in Georgia? You can't have, was it premarital sex? Is that what it was?
I can't remember if that's what it was. Yeah,
it's a state law, I think, but I can't remember. I think you're right.
If you get a chance, look up 10 the 10 most sex laws, the most strangest sex laws, and
it wasn't on the Cracked website, was it?
No, this was all over.
Magazine, magazine, one of those.
Hilarious part is some people say it's okay to have sex with animals as long as they are under 40 pounds.
Yeah, what the hell?
I said,
how did they pass a law like that?
Hold on, let me weigh you.
What kind of person? What kind of sick individual? I don't know.
There. Okay, she says. Can you read it?
Naked on Sunday in North Carolina, it's illegal for a man to see his wife naked on Sunday before noon.
Ooh, that reminds me of
we're in trouble then, because we were there. It was a Sunday.
Whoops. And then there was a man can't shoot off his shotgun while the woman is in the middle of having her.
I mean, his real rifle they're talking about.
Oh yeah,
a real firearm.
Yeehaw! Shoot that.
They can't do that while they're in the middle of engaging in.
I don't know how would they even come up with that.
Why would they have a law like that unless there's a bunch of people doing that? Maybe it's to tell your neighbors, hey, I'm getting some. You know, bang,
I don't know.
Out the window.
Oh, then there was one. You cannot masturbate while you're watching two people have sex in the car. I'm like, my mind's going, seriously? Are these people just standing outside watching, or how would they really? I don't know.
Well.
Oh, and then a virgin. Okay, how does it? A virgin can never have sex, not even on her wedding night or something like that.
That was the weirdest one. I'm thinking, then she'll always be a virgin.
Correct.
How does that work?
But then I read where that's why they pay certain men to come do the deed.
Oh, jeez.
And so that then she's not a virgin.
What guy wrote that law up?
I don't know. But it was like bizarre. So
yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of bizarre things out there yet.
Yeah, and it's time to make the world unflat.
A lot of bizarre things.
So how did this come about? Because it's about from the age of 16 to 20 is when the hormones are, usually it can be before that, but this is where you're sculpting yourself into who you want to be or how you're going to be for the rest of your life. Which means after the age of 20 on, you're just thinking the same old story. So just imagine that I'm 45, which is true, so 25 years worth of repeating the same thinking if I didn't have the healing tools and allowed myself to resolve certain things to move forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know where he went. He just disappeared.
I was reading the chat room.
You can watch him on YouTube, and you can watch how
Auto response kick in. Yes. Yes, my dear. No, my dear. Yes, my dear.
You did that the other day.
No,
I'm sitting there, I was talking to you, and you didn't answer. I said, oh, okay, whatever. And so about 5 minutes later, you said, yes, dear. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? I didn't say anything. Yeah, you did. And I think he was just stuck in a time.
You were talking slowly, and it took that long to catch up to me.
Oh, did you hear that? He blamed me. We might want to heal that. Okay. So, how does one then mature if this happens to who we are? And that is where we literally realize that the emotional part of us needs to be addressed, looked at, and taken care of. And you read all the advice of sweep it under the rug, be like a dog, kick grass over your shit and walk away. And it's like, I know that I have done this, I've done that, I've done my best to conquer and walk away, but it's the programs that are in there. Literally, it's the programs. My heart reflects what's going on in that caudate nucleus, and it's the vibrations that I connect with it. So the vibrations are going, and I connect that with bad or fearful, and the next thing I know, I'm actually stopping myself. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a small break, so if my husband can actually run.
How do I play?
Hey, the buttons are missing.
No,
there you go. Where is it? Now put your, no, down.
Right there?
It's so funny to, yes, that's the word. See
Right
what I'm thinking?
there?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, everybody, we're going to take a break. Somehow our screen is kind of monkeyed up here, but we'll be back shortly.
We have been looking at, Karen has sent us a link.
Yeah, double laws. This is a pretty good site.
Real strange laws in
I got to remember
Michigan.
next time we go to Flint not to wear any baggy pants before you get thrown in a pokey, I guess.
Yeah, it says in Flint, Michigan, one who wears saggy pants can be jailed for months.
I bet that's something recent.
It sounds like it.
Because it would be from all the gangs they got over there.
Oh, that could be.
That was you wear your crotch down to your ankles and you're supposed to be
Oh,
cool.
wow. In Michigan, the sale of dyed baby chicks is a crime.
Yeah, take your little yellow chickens and dye them different colors. And look at these fancy chicks I got for sale.
Well, I understand the one. It says it's in Michigan. It's illegal to display a deformed person or human monstrosity, and that's because of the, what did you say? It was the circuses and things like that, making fun of people.
Yeah, they displayed them as circus acts and things like that.
But then again, if you looked and talked to some of those people, that's probably the only ones that are actually called a home.
Oh, in Brighton, right down in Brighton, only about an hour drive away. Annoying someone is a crime.
Oh, honey, you better make sure you stay here.
Officer, my husband's annoyed me, officer.
Oh my gosh, our one friend should be down there.
Oh, geez. Some of those are kind of funny, but yeah, it's something. Changing times. You know what happened back then that required all these things to.
You know, I'd be curious of when those laws became effect.
Yeah, they probably.
Well, one of the things we're going to want to talk about is missed opportunities. Now, according from what I understand, opportunities come to us all the time. And they have to come through the frontal lobe, or don't even have to be the frontal lobe, into the gray matter, okay? Because your frontal lobe is what creates your reality. And this is where you think and doing a lot of your sculpting. But when opportunities come through, and if it can't get past the caudate nucleus and into the midbrain, it'll be considered a missed opportunity. Because your comfort zone or the fears, anything you've accumulated in there, will actually stop it from coming in. So, example, honey, would you like to stand up and do a speech for everybody, and so we'll post it? Okay, if you could see his face, it was funny because he's like, "Are you serious? That is his caudate nucleus right now."
The panic attack.
The panic attack, and that is something that the soul says, "Look, it's a signal. One can heal that so that you can replace it with joy." Doesn't mean you have to stand up and talk, but you know, I used to be such an extreme introvert. Now that I heal it, it's like no skin off my back to stand up and start talking. It's a piece of cake. It's no big deal. But before, it was like horror. Panic attacks, horror. But I didn't just conquer it. I didn't, because I would be in school, and finally, when I got into college, I said, that's it. I'm going to be usually the first or the second one to raise my hand. Usually you don't want to be the first one, because you want to watch somebody else. As far as like if you have to do a speech or you have to do something, you don't want to be the first one because you want to see how it looks first. But be the second one, get it over with, be done. And I said to myself, you know what, I don't care if people say it's a stupid question, I'm going to raise my hand anyway because there's something in that statement I do not understand. And if they may need to clarify it, because one of the things I learned is I had to clarify certain words for myself for me to understand the statement. So, it's important that you pay attention to this. Now, it's not a crime, he did nothing wrong, and you know, you're perfectly normal who you want to be, but those emotions and feelings is what lead you to be who you are, and it can follow you and continue with you. And if you want your life to change for healthier, then there's a part of you that really needs to heal that caudate nucleus and some of the issues. And by saying that and then his reaction, that's like that's an automatic giveaway to say, oh, we lost so much power, we can even muscle test it. I see we have a call. Okay. So I'm going to have my husband click area code 512. You're on the air with Brenda and Scott. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Dave.
Hi, Dave. How can I help you? You got a question or you just want a general reading?
I just would like a general reading.
Okay, all right. So all you have to do is just be handsome self, and I'm just going to look at the energies that are around you, and the soul will tell me exactly what it wants you to know about. And they're pointing to the word depleted, and I feel like your arms and legs feel very tired because they're pointing to your limbs, and I'm not sure what that's about yet. But there's a part of you that, okay, they're showing me that you're a good man. You stand tall, you're proud of yourself, but you have to suppress some of your reactions. I don't know, I keep hearing like the workplace or something like this. Does this make sense so far?
Well, you might have to go a little bit deeper, but yeah, it's kind of making sense.
Okay, so the suppressed part is like your reaction. All I can say is that you lose strength when you have dumbass people in your space. So, do I need to explain what a dumbass person is?
No, my situation is, I'll give you a little bit, and you'll even understand it clearer what you're talking about. I've been a professional musician all my life. Had no problems with jobs, or, I was on TV, did all that stuff.
Cool.
A number of years ago, I decided to stop doing that. I have a little daughter, she's 9 now, and so I changed my life, basically.
Uh-huh.
And through a number of situations, the job arena is kind of fearful to me. I ended up getting a job about a year and a half ago. The man is totally manipulated, facilitated, and controlled me, and I've allowed it. It's time to
Yep.
to the next step.
That is it. That's what they want you to address, because really, they're pointing to the fact that your arms and your legs are tired. And what they're referring to is, I think, when we go into stress, even a little bit of stress, we start to lose blood to our forebrain. And if we're really in stress, 80% of the blood can leave and to go into our arms and legs to run. But if you're unable to really exercise out that extra chemical peptides, your body can literally become tired and numb. Now, they keep showing me that you suppress how do I want to put it? You don't want to hit the dumbass. I'm sorry, that's the word they're using, is because these people literally,
Say that part again?
they keep referring to this person as a dumbass. They think they're really smart, but they're really draining.
Well, see, you're nailing it. He's a sociopathic, what do they call a narcissist?
Oh, well, there you go.
Another thing to shoot himself in the foot, and I have to not listen to him to try to keep these things going.
Oh boy. Okay, so now I'm going to start asking your soul a couple more questions. All right, so is he done, and has he learned everything he's supposed to learn with this gentleman? Yes, you have. Is there anything else more to learn? No. So in this case, we're going to tell your soul, we're going to preserve all the positive learnings, and now it is to just get the courage to walk away. Now, what they're showing me is you're afraid that you're going to let someone down, namely your daughter. Do you feel like maybe she'd be disappointed that you didn't stick it out or keep this job or any of that?
Well, she could care less. It's all about money. It's all about the fear of not knowing what to do next.
See, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, because when we're by ourselves, we do have some great fear, but most of the time we can learn how to be who we are. But when you start having other people in your world, then you feel responsible for them, and that does bother. Okay, so I'm going to ask the soul.
Even more than being responsible, I've created a scenario here that I've got a lot of time with my daughter. I work out of my house, blah, blah, blah. So it's a perfect setup, and the man kind of knows this, to continue manipulating me.
Oh, geez. Well, we can always find another job that can give you that. We may not think there is, but we could look. What I'm hearing...
Believe it or not, I've already got one lined up, and I'm just kind of scared to jump into the... I'm a life coach. I'm a very, very, very skilled,
Cool.
The therapist type of thinking. I mean, I understand this, but it's like I'm just kind of I'm just in this plane with this man.
Okay, so what we need to heal is the entanglement cord, because you and him have created an entanglement cord, and it's important to clean and heal off the emotional baggage that happens to be there, and it's looking for closure. At least your soul is. And I don't know if you've listened to me before or not, but if you go to MWReveal.com, look under Healing Tools, you'll actually find, I think I only put the video up, I don't think I put the handwritten note, of cord switching. And literally it can give you directions about how to help you take the energy that's between you and him and start resolving some issues, resolving some energy, and to reclaim what is yours. Because one thing in the cord switching is that they put goobers on you. And this is the manipulation, this is their crap that they, do to you.
Well, see, today is the day. I'm glad I got you here, because today is the day I realized that.
Ah, good. So if you break that cord, not break it, if you heal the cord switching, if you clean it off, get your power back, and when you take his crap off of you, you do not give it back to him if you think it's going to empower him. You put it in the treasure chest and just let that be taken care of. But you got to put it on a scale from 0 to 10 where you feel his crap is on you, and that any word he says and how he manipulates, you look at all that, you put it on a scale from 0 to 10 and just start pulling it out. Because remember, on a modality level, your eyes is a sensory system, but it's the submodalities. It's that, can you see it far or can you see it near? Can you see it in a panoramic or in a frame? And when you start to answer those questions, then what happens is you get to change the way that he shows up. So if you feel like he's in your face, you pull it away. And you can even make it disappear and throw it in the treasure chest. If you feel he's manipulating behind your back, you can pretend like you put a mirror behind there so that he then sees his own reflection, and get very creative with your thinking. But what you're doing is you're helping you and your subconscious mind to detach these things that need to be resolved off of your sensory system. Because I really think, let me ask you, do you know if you're a visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or digital person?
No.
Okay, so I guess one of the things I'm going to have, would you play with me just for a few minutes? Is some healing?
No, absolutely.
Okay, what I want to do is I want you to, let's see if I can say this correctly, and I feel like we need to do it with the eyes. And you can do this with any sensory system, but if you imagine him right now, tell me where he'd be. Would he be in front of you or behind you, or where would he be?
Oh, in front of me.
All right, how far?
Oh, right on me.
Okay, so we're going to just have you back him up, okay? And then as you back him up, now I want you to tell me, does that feel good, bad, or indifferent?
Indifferent.
Okay, good. Now what I want you to do is I want you to choose one eye to look at him through. Don't look through both eyes, just choose one eye. And which eye are you looking through right now when you stare at him?
Do I actually have my eye open?
You can cover one eye and have the other eye open. Yeah, I would open your eyes if you want, or unless you see better with your eyes shut.
Left eye.
Okay, so now as you got the right eye covered and you're looking at him in the left eye, think about the fresh experience of the hell he just put you through. And then tell me, on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being, oh God, what number would it be?
8.
An 8. Okay. Now what we're going to do is that, give me a color that pops in your head that represents that situation.
Green.
Green. Awesome. So we're going to preserve all the positive learnings. Now, all you have to do is just take, and now when I count to 3, you're going to take and switch, take your right hand off take your hand off your right eye and put it over your left eye. And then you're going to deliberately look only through the right eye. 1, 2, 3. Now, cover the left eye and only stare at him through the right eye. What number And think about that same situation. What number is it?
8.
Okay, so that's pretty even. He's been tortured by this guy pretty evenly. So we're going to preserve all the positive learnings. And now I want you to ask yourself, I can let this go. Do you feel like a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay, if we do this and we can say, okay, we can let this go. So we remove and transcend and let all the emotions dissolve. 1, 2, 3. You're going to switch now and cover up the right eye and focus everything through the left eye. What number, if you recreate that situation, what number do you have now when you look at it?
7.
Now that's better than 8. It's not a lot, but it is your brain is communicating. That's huge. So now we're going to say thank you. We're going to preserve all the positive learnings. Stare really intently at what he does the most. And 1, 2, 3, switch. Now, deliberately let go and look through the right eye and cover the left eye. And what number do you got?
Okay. 3.
3? That is a heck of a lot better than 8. So now, will you accept that and say, yes, I would rather see it as a 3 than an 8? Okay, so now you've done that. We're going to take more of those emotions and dissolve them all now. Especially if you have a specific one, you dissolve it all now. And then you're going to take anything that you look like he took from you, you're going to take it back through the purple heart and the violet flame, which is a transmutation thing. But you're just going to pull it back through the cord. And then you're going to say, you know what, I'm done with your crap. And you're going to pull him out all the way out. You don't need it anymore in there. 1, 2, 3. Now switch over and cover, I think it's the right eye, and you're going to look out the left eye. And then what number? When you think about the situation, only looking through that eye, what number's left?
It's probably 3. I don't see him there anymore.
Okay, now we want it gone down to 0. Okay? Now I have to ask your soul, so give me a second. I got to find out if you are willing to forgive him and let it go. Now, one of the things that we can take the way the visual is all the way down, but one of the things that really need to be looked at is just bringing to the conscious of this thought would simply be, is it okay for this man to get away with it if I were to walk away right now? And what do you think you would say?
No.
That is important, and I'm very glad that you are very honest with yourself. And what we're going to do is we're going to decide that if it's okay, that it doesn't matter, then what you're going to do is you're going to be able to let the rest go. Because you're done, right? So literally just take the energy and switch it back and forth. We're going to imagine a cord. We're just going to switch it back and forth. And we're just going to pull it out. Now, I want you to take and put your hand on your forehead and your hairline. And I want you to think about this fresh experience and then any really experience that he has ever had with him, whichever you had with him. Allow yourself to just think it through, and just start to remove and transcend, think it through, and then what's going to happen is there's going to be a part of you that's realizes like, I'm starting to feel differently. I really don't need this. The self-talk's not strong. Even the color's changed. What's the color now when you think about it? Okay, and we're going to take back our power because the blue is about our will. It's about our choice. It's our ability to have our voice. I want you to feel like you get your voice back. I want you to feel like, you know what, it doesn't matter because it doesn't. And you can start to remove and transcend and let it all go. Now deliberately choose one eye to look through. And tell me if there's any number left.
Not really, no.
Okay, now, not really means that there could be something. So double check and cover up the other eye and see if there's anything left in that one.
Not the same.
Okay, so now I want you to notice that if anything starts to creep up into your space, if he happens to be there and your thought goes from 0 to having 2 or 3 a minute, 'cause remember we have 41 thoughts per minute,